Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. Before we dive into this powerful episode, please remember to subscribe to our channels and to give us a 5-star rating on iTunes to continue hustling. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Life Chiropractic College West, and M-Sculpt. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 504 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your producer, Luke Millette, and here's your host, James Juster.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Kyle Garbart. And if you want to hear the story about teaching people how to improve their life with chiropractic, stay tuned. Welcome back. This is another episode of the Chiro Hustle podcast. It's 502 today. Kyle Garbart coming in from, I think it's Spartanburg, right?
Yes, sir. Spartanburg, South Carolina.
Yeah. So really excited for this conversation. We met each other at Dean and Jenda Pice's group, TLC, and that group is on fire. If you guys are looking for a great coaching group to be a part of and a great community to be a part of, reach out to Jen or Dean. It'd be a really good fit for most chiropractors, but I'm just really excited for this episode. I think we're going to have a fun conversation about chiropractic. And but before we get into it, I'm just going to let people know the ethos and the why behind what we do over here at Chiro Hustle. First Amendment is important to us, so we definitely protect freedom of speech with our show, and that's really important in the chiropractic profession across the board. We have to preserve the lexicon, and we have to preserve the languaging of chiropractic from now until the end of the world. So, I think some of these things that we talk about today have a fundamental within chiropractic. And one of my friends, Roberto Monaco, always tell me, Dr. Kyle, is if we don't tell people the truth about chiropractic, someone else will make up one about us. And not only that, they'll start taking parts of chiropractic and attributing it to their practice of whatever they're doing. It doesn't matter if it's Pilates to medical doctors. They'll take the chiropractic philosophy and make it their own. So we have to own it. At that point, we do protect BJ Palmer's sacred trust. We think that that's really vital to the future of chiropractic, and that we have to continuously honor the chiropractic message. So if you guys don't know what that means, go to your favorite search engine and look for BJ Palmer's last words or BJ Palmer's sacred trust, and you'll know more about chiropractic than you did before you listened to this interview. And rewind back, we do believe in family health freedom and medical freedom. That's a big part of why we support chiropractic, because of what it offers to the chiropractic profession, what it offers to the people out there that are seeking answers for their health. So we do believe that chiropractors are the doctors of the future and the present. And there's a lot to be said, but we do support subluxation-based chiropractic. Once again, if you don't know the terminology, there's a reason for it. Go and search for a subluxation-based chiropractor in your area today. And then lastly, we believe in innate intelligence and universal intelligence. We believe that when man or woman, the physical, get adjusted, it connects them to man or woman, the spiritual. And that's a lot of stuff there, but that's our intro. And I just want to welcome Dr. Kyle to the show.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate being here.
Yeah, I mean, the introduction kind of says it all about chiropractic, but there's a reason for you too being the chiropractor. And this is a good chance for you to share your story with friends, family, colleagues, patients, anybody that might know Dr. Kyle, but they might not remember your story. You may have never told them your story, but how did you get into chiropractic?
So it was with me in the beginning, I was in the Navy for 7 years. I was a Navy Corpsman, so I was always based in traditional medicine. And I was also a rescue diver and a survival swimmer while I was there. While I was in the military, I did hurt my back. I took a bad fall and wanted to seek help. So the military was like, okay, you need to have some surgery on it. And I didn't want to have surgery because I never heard of anybody just having one back surgery before. And so I was looking for other things to do. And so I came across chiropractic. And so I went to a chiropractor and he was like, yeah, I can help you. And so went back to the military, said, hey, this is what I'm going to do. They said that you would not be able to walk. within 10 to about 5 to 10 years. That was 22 years ago. I'm still walking. I run 3 miles every other day. I work out as much as I can. And so, as you see, the chiropractic field helped me tremendously. And when the time was right in my life, I was like, hey, I want to do this. And unfortunately, that time was when I was like in my 40s. And so that just shows you that chiropractic care and becoming a chiropractor is not just for the young at heart. It's for anybody who has the desire and the passion to make people better.
Yeah, I think that that's a big takeaway there for people is chiropractic is a fit for people at any point in their careers.
Oh, yeah.
And it is cool to see some people that come into chiropractic as a non-traditional plan, and they go into becoming a successful chiropractor and have lots of years of success. So that's really cool. And you're in year one, man. I think that makes you unique right now. So what are you doing, like marketing stuff, and what are you doing to like actually like get your business busy?
Well, it started out from, this was a plan that my wife and I had back going when I was a quarter two student in Sherman. We knew we were going to open a business. We knew we were going to be based here in Spartanburg. And so we really started formulating a plan there. Then when I was in 14th quarter, or when I was in 10th quarter, let me just go back, we actually purchased our building. So we were already planning our business while I was a student. And so we started getting all the nuts and bolts going for that. And then when I was in 14th quarter, getting ready to graduate, I was at home making flyers, making handouts, making, invitations. I probably made about 750 invitations. And that whole 2 weeks before we opened our doors, so it had been the beginning of last April, before we opened the doors, I went around like the good old fashioned way. I put my book bag on my back full of flyers, and I went and handed out every single one of those flyers to every single business that I was around my office. And everybody I saw walking in the street, I handed them a flyer, introduced myself as Dr. Kyle. I was a new chiropractor in the area, looking forward to seeing them. Just read the information. If you're interested, come by and say hi. And that's all I would do. And I would drop off flyers, business cards. Every time I went and ate dinner somewhere or ate lunch somewhere, I left a business card with the check. So I did really opening. I did it the old fashioned way, is, basically, boots on the ground. And then started getting into, we're big on social media. So we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. So basically anything that we can do that we find interesting to promote chiropractic, we're out there trying to do it.
Yeah, I think it's really encouraging. Some of the things that you say there is like the old school strategies of door knocking and shaking hands. I think there's a lot to be said about that. And, I think that the chiropractic profession specifically has to go do those grassroots style growth, practice growth styles, because, you're not getting direct referrals like a big box medicine store or a big box medicine, hospital, or a small box, medical facility. But I think it's really encouraging because you do have to go out there and let people know who you are and how you can help them, and have to be enthusiastic about it, because I think that's a huge part to building that know, like, and trust within the chiropractic practice. Is I changed it. That's Napoleon Hill. No, like, and trust. But I always say no, love, and trust. It's important to be known, loved, and trusted.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that people see that when you go out there and you do door knocking, and you go out there and you build your practice from the ground up.
And the key to it that I really want everybody to know, and I learned this from you when I listened to you speak, is like you said, you have the I can't remember exactly the way you put it, but the no gene. And so to explain that is, it doesn't matter if somebody tells you no. And when I first started, that was the biggest lesson that I had to learn, was if someone tells you no, don't get your feelings hurt, but it's just an opportunity for somebody else to come in. Or when a patient doesn't come into the office or misses their appointment, it just leaves an opportunity for 2 more patients to come in. And that's one of the biggest lessons that I had to learn when I first opened. And hearing you say it when I listened to you talk that time was like, wow, that's really cool. I need that gene.
Yeah, it's the no rejection gene.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of times when people tell you no, they're actually telling themselves no.
Yeah.
And that's something that you just have to like nurture people through is until they know that you can help them, they're always going to tell themselves no because it's this old like neighbors, cousins, brothers, uncles thing is like chiropractors can't help you. They actually do XYZ, and nobody really knows until they go and like take that first step to go see if they can get help from the chiropractic clinic. So I think that you have to just understand the prospect and you have to put yourself in their shoes. And a
Mhm.
lot of times when people are saying, "Oh, I can't get healthy," they have this limiting belief system. And
Right.
that's where chiropractic, like with you, surgical consult, and you're like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to go this other route. So a lot of people just don't know that chiropractic is the thing that can help them, recover from whatever they're dealing with.
Hmm.
And it's not treating anything. It just takes the pressure off of the nervous system, allowing the body to do what it does naturally. And that's self-regulate and self-heal.
Yeah, that's one of the key things I always tell my patients is like, oh, well, am I going to be better now? And I'm like, I wish I had the answer for you. I said, all I know is that I put the nervous system back and I let the body do its thing. That's what the body was created to do. The body's a marvelous invention, and there's nothing that we can do to control it. We just help it to heal, and that's what I love about chiropractic.
Yeah, the old school philosophy is the body needs nothing extra in it, simply needs no interference. The chiropractor checks and detects and corrects that vertebral subluxation, adjusts it back into place, and you never know what kind of miracle is going to happen.
Exactly.
I worked in a clinic for 6 years, Dr. Kyle, and a lot of times somebody would come in with like radiculopathy,
Hmm.
and it was like visit 7 or whatever. And we do a re-exam. We'd ask them like, "Hey, do you remember why you originally came in here?" And sometimes we'd get these head scratches. Like people wouldn't even remember their initial complaint or their initial symptoms when they came in. And then they would say stuff like, "And by the way, I'm sleeping better. By the way, whatever, XYZ, fill in the blank.
Yep.
It's improved." And I think that a lot of times it's the attitude of people.
Oh yeah.
When you're not dealing with something that's constantly like a monkey on your back or a pain in the back, you're able to start concentrating on quality of life.
Oh yeah,
And
I had a guy come in. He came in with a walker, and I knew the family because I used to work with his wife when I was an IT consultant, and she just didn't really believe in chiropractic. But he came and he was like, "I just can't walk. I need some relief." So I worked with him for probably about 8 weeks or so, and now he still comes and sees me, but he's no longer in a walker. He went from a walker to a cane to where he's walking upright without a problem. And during that transition, his wife started seeing the changes and she started coming to being patient because she was like, "You're doing this for my husband. What can you do for me?" And I was like, "It's not what I can do for you, it's what your body can do for you." I said, "I'm just a vessel."
well, it's just like back in the day, they'd always say 9/10 of it's showing up.
Exactly.
Well, it's still true. Like 9/10 of you like getting an improvement with anything, you just got to show up.
Exactly.
And I think that that's a big takeaway for people that are listening is just keep showing up,
Mhm.
whether it's being a friend, whether it's being the chiropractor, whether it's being the patient, just keep showing up.
Yeah.
And, I think that that's an encouraging part of all of this is you can't make somebody do something. Like when I worked in the clinic, just for instance, the doc would always say, we care more about these people's health than they do.
100%.
And we have to be an advocate for them every day that they show up.
Hmm.
And when they don't show up, we have to be an advocate for them too.
Yeah, that's key what you said right there, and that's one of the premises that we had to learn in the clinic here. That if somebody doesn't show up, don't take it personally, but find out what's going on with that patient because there may be something going on that we don't realize.
Hmm.
And so just saying, "Oh well, they'll come back," or "They have another appointment." No, let's reach out to them. Let's show them that we care. Let's love on them as a patient and say, "Hey, we love you in this clinic. What's going on? Why did you miss your appointment?" And they're like, "Oh well, I may have had this." And then when they come back, they're like, "I really needed that message that you sent me," because we'll send our patients text messages and say, "Hey, thinking about you. Hope everything's going well." And they may not come right back, but they will come back. It all comes back full circle.
And that's an important thing too, is the rapport.
Hmm.
And I think so many times we don't understand, like they always said, you don't judge somebody today because you don't know what they're going through.
Right.
And I think that that goes true for growing a business and a practice too, is do what's in front of you and do the best with it, but also be considerate of the people that have trusted you as their provider.
Mhm.
And a lot of people are just looking to be acknowledged, they're looking to be seen, and they're looking to be heard. And if a chiropractor can nail those three things, acknowledge people, see them, hear them, like the business will grow.
Oh yeah.
But that's why I feel like the tide is turning and more people are coming into the chiropractic world and the chiropractic profession, and they're starting to like discover chiropractic because they see the other medical model that the house of cards is falling, and they don't get acknowledged. They're just another chart number. They
Right.
don't get heard. They're just being prescribed stuff that, they don't have a relationship. There's no hands on.
Mhm.
So chiropractic, I believe, is getting more and more visible, more and more utilized, and more people are starting to see like, wow, these chiropractors really care. They have a ethos, they have a heart, they want to serve their community. Like,
Mhm.
I want to go there, I want to be a part of that community, right?
Right. Well, and they actually are seeing results, and you know, and I don't talk bad about any medical profession, but the United States, we have the best crisis care in the world. So, like, if I break my arm, don't go to the chiropractor, go to the ER. But if you want a general preventive medicine, if you want to generally heal your body from the inside out, chiropractic is the best way to go. As a matter of fact, it's the only way to go.
What One of my favorite interviews I've ever done. We've done almost 1,200 interviews. You're episode 502 of the actual show, but I've done a ton of interviews.
Mhm.
And one of my favorite interviews I've ever done was Les Brown, and he's a motivational speaker, big name in the on the circuit of like changing people's lives. And thing I took away from him is why he told me he loved chiropractic was they don't cut it out, they don't drug it out, and they don't burn it out. And I'll never forget that. That's emblazoned, like tattooed on my brain. Like,
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. And that's why, when I go out and do marketing events for chiropractors, there's so much conviction there that I say, look, come in for these first two visits and see if we're a good fit for you. I call it the relationship builder. If you like us, you think we're a good fit, then now you have a great provider. If you come in for these first two visits, you realize it's not the right place for you, there's no strings attached for further care. But I always tell them, I guarantee you one thing, you're going to like us.
Mhm.
And I think that when people start to understand that it's a loving, giving, caring, serving profession, they're going to refer their whole family. They're going to refer their whole office in. They're going to refer everybody in once they realize that chiropractic was the answer for them too.
Yeah, there's a couple of patients that I've had that came in who they've come in as a trial run. They wanted to check out the office before they let their family come in. I had one lady come in, and she came in, she was very stern, and she was like, this is what I want, this, and this. And so I explained everything that we do. And with us here at Trident, we're all about the patient experience. We want you to enjoy the chiropractic experience. We don't want you just to come in and get racked and cracked. We want you to enjoy the experience. And by the time she left here, she looked at me and she goes, I just wanted to let you know that I came in from my family to see if you were the right fit for us. And then she brought 8 other people with her for the next time she came in. So we were taking care of her kids, and her grandkids.
Yeah, I mean that just goes to show that if you provide a good service and you render a good quality adjustment and you take care of that person and they start to feel like this is home to them, everybody's looking for a sense of community right now.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's looking for where do I belong and who can help me.
Right.
And it's not just the pain, man. It's not just the pain of like the misalignment of the spine and the pressure on the nerve. It's the emotional subluxation that people are dealing with more than ever right now. They just feel crummy. They don't feel connected. They
Mm-hmm.
feel like there's division within them and everyone around them. So if they have, like, for lack of a better word usage, a safe place, like chiropractic is a safe place, man.
Yeah.
And it's a safe place for people to land that want to build a community within, the medical world. And I know that chiropractic is a standalone profession within, the medical arena, but people are looking for a safe place to land.
Oh yeah. And that's what we try to offer here. I know you've never been here to our office, and you're always more than anytime you're in Spartanburg, stop by, come in, check us out. we try to make our office different than other offices. We try to make it a more relaxing, kind of like a spa feeling, more than just a medical office. And we try, to greet everybody. Hey, we've been expecting you. We greet them by their name. We make them feel like they're actually part of our family, because that's what we call them. We're a big family here at Trident. We're not just hey, come in, get seen, rack, crack, go,
Yeah, I think that's important too. Is, a lot of times people will come up when I'm out doing a marketing event and they'll say something like, I've heard if I come once, I have to come the rest of my life. And I'm like, oh gosh, another one of these. and I'm like, well, how frequently do you stick to your dental appointments? Did you just go the one time and you never win again?
Mhm.
And you want to keep those teeth, right? And I'm like, yeah. So yeah, it would make sense, wouldn't it? If you came to the chiropractor, you would want to come for the rest of your life. Like,
Exactly.
I don't see why that would be anybody would plant a seed of negativity in you about that. You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession on the world's #1 chiropractic podcast. This episode is sponsored by Imaging Services, Chiro Health USA, Chiro Moguls, Pure Chiro Notes, Titronics, Sherman College of Chiropractic, New Patients in a Box, the Influencer Authority Podcast Training, Mango Voice, Life Chiropractic College West, and M-Sculpt. Let's hustle. Like, that's probably the greatest gift that you would ever get, is being able to have a relationship with a chiropractor for the rest of your life.
Oh yeah. And that's one thing I tell my patients is, hey, listen, not only am I a chiropractor, but I'm also a chiropractic patient. I mean, and I tell them, listen, I've been getting into chiropractic care for 22 years. Do I still have back pain? Yes, 100%, because I'm rough on my body, but at the same time, I also take care of my body by getting it adjusted, so I know that it heals properly after what I do.
Yeah, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier, the 3 components of a subluxation: thoughts, traumas, toxins.
Mhm.
So sometimes the trauma is enough to be lasting life effect that we need to have, consistent care. Sometimes it's the headspace that will twist up our spine, man. There's
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of thoughts that could create poor posture. There's a lot of thoughts that we have that will create, just lack of flow going to the nervous system. And then we have the toxins. I think people are sicker today than they've ever been.
Oh yeah.
And they need the communities need chiropractic based on those 3 things. And it's the physical, the chemical, the emotional. It's however we want to package it. But people are sicker than ever before, and they're all looking for a solution out of what mess that they're in right now, whether it's the way that they think, the way that they feel, or what they're feeding themselves.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, it's just like what you said, just thoughts alone. I mean, how many times have we turned the news on, and when do you ever see anything positive in the news nowadays? And no matter where it is, be it across the world or even in our backyard, those thoughts just build up and build up and build up. And we've got to have a way to release them, and that it just crushes our nervous system.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't know how to actually communicate out of that stuff.
Mhm.
It's just like a layer and another layer and another layer and another layer. And over time, it just becomes exhausting, and people really don't know where to go. So their nervous system starts to take, the brunt of it. And they don't know that chiropractic can help release that tension that they build up that they don't even know is there until that little twig pops, and it's like, oh gosh, I can't walk now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so that's a great point, because so many times people come, hey, I went over and I bent over to pick this pencil up, and that pencil threw my back out. That pencil's not what threw your back out. It's those 10 years of abuse before that threw your back out. And they're like, oh, well, get me fixed. Well, it's not that simple. It's going to take time. It's going to take time, and repetition is what heals that body. And so that's the key thing that we have to educate the patients with, and not just say, okay, one and done. That's not the way it works. It takes time to build it up. It's that health cycle that we have to work them through, and to get these nerves and these tendons and these muscles retrained so that they can hold that spine back in the proper position again.
Yeah, it takes me back to this one of my favorite episodes. This guy named Bob Brooks. He's not with us anymore. He's out of Oklahoma. He had a program called Taking Care of People. He's a chiropractor, upper cervical guy. And he would always tell me the issues are in the tissues.
I like that.
And a lot of times it's not just the spinal column, it's not the osseous parts of the spine. It's the soft tissue that is around and holding not just the disc, but it's the ligaments, it's the
Yeah.
tendons, it's the muscles. And if there's too much tension going on in those soft tissues, heck yeah, it's going to contort the spine and pull things out of alignment and make, a pattern of pain and discomfort.
Yeah, and that's one thing here in the office that we try to focus on. We're a subluxation based practice, but there's also other things like you said, the soft tissue that we have to deal with. So there's other forms and therapies that we involve with our patients. So it's not just let me figure this out and let's just adjust. Well, if adjusting is not working, let's move on to something else that works. I mean, there's other therapies out there like ultrasound, like cupping, dry needling, stuff that we do here in the office. And we even take it one step further, and we've gone with how the body is hydrated. So we also do IV hydration here. My wife takes care of it. She handles all that side of the business. And as long as the body is properly hydrated, the muscles are functioning properly. So then everything can work hand in hand. So it's like a big closed loop that we do here to get the body treated as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, there's an old. I've done sales for a long time now, but there's a saying in sales: is give them what they want, sell them what they need.
Mm-hmm.
And people want the consult, they want the evaluation, they want the exam, they want the health history, they want the x-ray, they want the time with the doctor, they want to get the report of findings, they want to know what's going on, they want to know how much concern there's, they want to know how they can be helped, but they also want to understand, like, once they trust you, how can you provide services to them, and how can you help them with the other concerns that they're dealing with without the drugs, the pills, the surgery.
That's right.
Yeah, man. Looks like we got another cool comment over here from Dr. Jeff. You guys are hitting the nail on the head. Toxic news is all people want to talk about. After a vacation with no TV, I felt cleansed. People watching the news with no balance are just constantly dipping in SAIT. then they share input equals output.
That's a great point. The input equals output. And that's like you say, you keep putting garbage in, we keep putting toxins in, the body's just going to absorb those toxins and they have to get them out. If you don't get it out, then it just affects the body and everything that we do. And we see it a lot. All you have to do is just walk down the street. You can see people's postures. And it's just like, my wife will look at me and she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I can fix that.
Yeah. I found when I first started, I started my clinical chiropractic career back 14 years ago, working in an office in Chicago, and I was a CBP traction tech.
Mm-hmm.
And I would walk around, man, and I would see postural deviations, I'd see foot flares, I would see high left shoulders, I would see twists in people's thoracic spines, and I'd be like, always like, how can we help these people? And if they just knew,
Mm-hmm.
there'd be lines around every chiropractic clinic in the country, around the world, man. There'd be like waiting list practice everywhere. We'd have to have like more chiropractors if people just knew, because then they would see that in each other,
Mm-hmm.
and they'd be like, you need to go get adjusted.
Oh,
And it wouldn't be like, how are you going to afford that? And it'd be like, how could you not make, a savings fund for that? Or how could you not work harder to afford that?
Mm-hmm.
Not like least common denominator type behavior. That's what we get dealt with, man. We get dealt with least common denominator behavior. Like, oh, if it's not broken, let's not do that.
Well, that's one of the things that we deal with is like people come to chiropractors when it's their last hope. They're like, I've done everything else. Well, why didn't you do us first? And 9 times out of 10, like I have one lady, she had debilitating migraines 2 to 3 a week, and they started affecting her job. And she came in here and she's like, I don't know what else to do. I'm like, well, chiropractic works. This works. We can get you. And now she's at the pack where she's had 2 headaches since I've been treating her. And I promise you this, and we can talk offline about it, but she is going back to school, finishing her degree so she can go become a chiropractor. That's how strongly she's felt because of those adjustments.
And that's just it, is like, we never know how far reaching something we do or say today will have the impact on millions of lives tomorrow. And
Exactly.
just by being of service to her, now she's seeing that there is a way out. But there's philosophy there too, is the way through it is the way to get to something. And sometimes we have to go through it in order to get to it.
Yep.
And I think that that's the reality for a lot of your patients is they have to go through it in order to get to what they want. And being consistent is one of the hallmarks of, people actually believing in themselves enough to make a change.
Oh yeah.
So let's go lightning round. I know we have a handful of minutes left, but I just I want to go through some things with you. And you seem like pretty fit guy. You seem pretty healthy. What are you doing for you and your family to stay on the up and up?
Well, usually every time with my family, we keep them well adjusted. So not only do I get adjusted, but my family gets adjusted as much as possible. My wife and I, every day when we leave the office, we go to the gym. We do a minimum of 30 to 45 minutes of workout. We've started implementing that so both of us can start being healthy. And then I stay adjusted.
Yeah, man. I think that that's important. There's a guy named James Chestnut, not to be confused with James Chester, but he started a revolution, I don't know, 20 years ago, maybe not that long ago, but it was the eat right, think right, move right, or eat well, think well, move well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if most people just thought on those simple premises and then they added getting adjusted to that, we'd have a revolution in this country, a health revolution.
Exactly.
So yeah, thanks for sharing about what you're doing to stay healthy. I think it's pretty cool. And then let's future pace. Where do you see the profession going? Let's just talk in the next 5 years. Where do you see chiropractic moving towards?
I actually see chiropractic moving into a huge change. It's going to be a big shift. I think a medical paradigm shift, I believe, because I think as more chiropractors get out there, the more the message gets out. People are going to start seeking us first as a first line treatment instead of a last line treatment. I do believe that because unfortunately, I think that there's a lot of people, and what I hear from some of my patients is they're not that they're losing trust in the medical system. It's just one, getting too expensive, and two, they like we talked earlier, they need to be needed. And that's what they're getting out of chiropractors. And I believe the chiropractors this is our time to move from the bottom to the top. And we have to take the bull by the horns, and we have to be in control of our own future. And so that's why I believe that we are going to start doing that, because we're getting more bold in our profession, and we're not taking no for an answer. We're saying, hey, this works. This is where health comes from. Let's do this.
Well, I mean, I don't know what you guys charge for care at your clinic, but I just know that across the board, a lot of chiropractors do care plans, and they do like a system of like spinal rehab or spinal recovery plans to make sure that people are actually getting to the point of stability. And then when you produce that to a prospective new patient, eventually they're going to be like, wow, that's so affordable, rather than that's expensive. Because I think the paradigm has been this confusion in the medical model as to people thought for a long time that $3,000 to $5,000 was an expensive investment for medical services provided to them. But they don't realize that they're getting 24 adjustments in 90 days. And that's a really good opportunity for them to like start kickstarting the future of their health. And I think back in, even 10 years ago, people would look at that as like an expensive thing. But now when they look at like the equivalency of like, urgent care visit or going to like the ER for something or a hospital, like anything to do with the medical world, like you said, they're finding things to be so expensive. Right. Yeah, it's no joke, man. Chiropractic is a bargain.
Oh yeah, especially with what you get. The people got to understand. And this is what I tell my patients is it's an adjustment, but it's life changing. We're changing those cells. We're changing the way the body actually functions. We're healing it. And we're not just saying, take this or do this. We're saying this is changing your life, and you feel it right away, which is awesome.
Yeah. And, anybody out there that will ever watch this, I just want people to know that you don't have to be afraid of the adjustment. Every chiropractor has a technique that they can use to help you. I think that so many times when people think about chiropractic, like, ooh, I don't want you touching my neck, or ooh, I don't want to hear it crack. But like people don't understand, like that's the point where the healing starts, is getting over the fear. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing to be feared about chiropractic. Even this past weekend, I was at a seminar with a bunch of MDs at it. And they were like congratulating us for what we do with the podcast. and they were saying to me like how important it is for people to have education on least invasive first,
Oh yeah.
and how they refer a bunch of people to chiropractors
Hmm.
because they know that they don't have to put them on this lifestyle care of medicine. They
Hmm.
can give them the option to go try a chiropractic and see if we can save people from long-term effects of who knows what, the side effect, as I call them, direct effects.
Hmm.
The medical world, somehow subvertedly called them side effects. Well,
Right.
they're not side effects, man. They're direct effects from using something that's foreign to your body. Um, so yeah, I think that there's a lot to be said about the future of the profession. Let's move two more things, maybe three more things. Um, who are some of your heroes? Who's helped to inspire you to become the practitioner that you are today?
So the main person that I got to give thanks to would be Dr. Jim Minico. He was actually my chiropractor. He's the one I remember sitting in his office and doing a spinal workshop, and he was teaching me about innate intelligence, and I was just all in. And I was just like, this is what I want to do. And so from that moment on, that's when I started changing my life to figure out that's how I want to be a chiropractor. And so he was the main one that molded me into getting into this position. And he's been keeping in contact with me every so often, all the way out through this career. And matter of fact, one time when I was a student at Sherman, he came up there and it was like, hey, you finally made it. And it was like, yeah, it took me some time, but I finally made it. So he's probably one of my biggest chiropractic heroes that's molded me to get to where I am.
Yeah, I mean, I have chiropractor number one too, man. It's pretty cool that you can go back and trace back time and show appreciation for the people that, you know, planted that seed into us. And then it just takes us to water the seed.
Oh, yeah. And the key thing about it is it doesn't matter when that takes part in your life. You're never too old to chase a dream that you want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love this conversation. I got two more things for you.
Mhm.
Um, you got any miracle stories that you've seen so far when you're in practice?
I've got a ton, and I've only been open for April will be our year. So there's miracles happen all the time. But I had one lady, she was actually going to a friend of mine who was a chiropractor in town, and she wasn't getting any relief. So the other chiropractor called me up and said, hey, I know your adjusting style is a little different than mine. Is there something you can do for this lady? And so she sent me the x-rays. We looked at the x-rays together. I told her to come on over here. And long story short, the lady, she fell, she broke her hip. She was rehabbing from her hip, doing water aerobics, and then hurt her lower back. And so we got her into the clinic. We did some segmental traction on her. We did some adjusting on her. And she, after the first couple visits, we were sitting in the hallway talking, and she told me she's at her wit's end. She goes, if this pain doesn't go away, she goes, I'm done with life. And I told her, I said, never give up hope. I said, as long as the body is functioning, there's always hope, because the body is always working, the body's always healing. And she is now walking without a cane. She is loving life. She's walking her dog again. She's hiking. She looked at me the other day, gave me a big hug, and was like, I was ready to give up life, but you came in and made it better. And I told her, I said, I didn't make it better. I said, you made it better. I said, you just allowed me to help.
Yeah, it's to me it's very encouraging to hear those stories because people have no idea how much pain that's stored up inside of each person's body. And if they don't have somebody that can facilitate with helping them retrain the body to go back to functionality and health, it's a pretty dark place out there, man.
Oh, yeah.
So last question, if you're the last chiropractor on planet Earth, would the profession survive?
It would be a strong hell yeah. I don't know if I can say that on the podcast, but I would say yes, because I believe, I tell everybody about it. I want to do everybody. I try to stay involved with some more students at school. I work with them as much as I can. I'm out telling people about it. We're active in our community. We're always over on social media, but it's a message that can't be put out.
Yeah, well, Dr. Kyle, I really appreciate you being on episode 502 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you would like to share with our audience today?
One thing I would like to share with the audience, and I don't know if they know it or not, but this should light a fire under them, is that Jim is not even a chiropractor, and he is pushing his profession harder than other chiropractors that are out there. And I personally want to thank you for that.
Hey, Dr. Kyle, I appreciate it, man. There's been a lot of purpose behind what we do, and that's my big why. A lot of people don't know this, but my why is to become the most powerful man in chiropractic, and you do that through the media. So each one of these interviews that we do creates a thread in the tapestry of the future of this profession, and it documents it, and it keeps this protected, and it keeps it live and vibrant. And a lot of people just don't know that the more that you tell the story, the more that it gets relevancy. So
Exactly.
when you guys listen to this, please share it, comment on this, become whatever, follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever your favorite social is. Jump on the Chiro Hustle and support us. And if you guys want to do a show with us, send me a message and we'll get you guys on for a Chiro Hustle podcast interview. And the cool thing is, I just found out that 20% of the chiropractic profession listens to our show.
That's awesome.
So we are making a change, man, and it is for the betterment of the future of chiropractic. So I appreciate the sentiment and the acknowledgement, and really appreciate you being our guest today.
Oh, I think you appreciate you having me. It's great to be so new and being on a show like this.
Yeah. So I'm going to close out then by telling everyone, you're just one story away. Keep hustling. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.